welcome to a second ever episode of Mo Mommies Mo Problems. Hello all. To anyone tuning in with us today, my name is Kaylia Flowers. I am a mommy to two children. I am 26 years old and I am doing my best. This podcast is for mommies just like that. Okay, so the intention is for this to be a safe space for any of you to speak your mind, speak your truth, and be yourselves. To share stories about our experiences that, while uniquely ours, are actually super relatable and hilarious and honest and raw and amazing and beautiful and ultimately can help us all feel more understood and seen. Because if there's one thing a lot of us mommies seem to have in common, it's feeling shushed, silenced, not considered, unimportant, frumpy, or whatever have you. Yes, the goal today and every day here with Mo Mommies Mo Problems is to get real about motherhood, the highs and the lows, and not just the Insta-friendly stuff either. So, without further ado, let's get it poppin'. Today we have a very special guest with us. She is an entrepreneur. She has a business. She is organized. She is a mommy to three beautiful tiny humans. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Audrey Aparicio.
Hello.
Hey, girl. How you doing, Audrey?
I'm thriving, honey.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here.
We love to hear it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just gonna adjust
Do your thing.
my little situation here. Let me get my reading glasses. I don't know what I was thinking.
You did really good for not having your glasses on.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
I can't see. Okay. Let's go up. I have notes.
I love it. She's organized too.
I am. Let me see. Okay, so I met you participating in the Fresno County Youth Choir. How long ago was that? How old were we? Oh my goodness.
2014.
2014.
So I was like 18.
18? Yeah. Oh man, I think in 2014 I was 17. That was like right after graduation, right? Because it was that summer.
Yep.
Man, that was a fun year.
It was so fun.
Dude, do you remember, what did we, were you there for Kakilambe?
I was there for Kakilambe.
Do you remember?
True, yes.
The dancing, oh my god, it was so good. FCYC was fun. I feel like it was probably the first place I felt like I could just be myself.
Yeah.
In a really freeing way. And like everybody was being themselves so hard. Like, you know, with like as much like fiery passion as possible, like, right?
Fierce individuality.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be myself. And I'm going to be myself right here, right now, next to you.
Yes.
Who's
right,
also being yourself.
Who's also being themselves. Yeah. And then you're allowed to like just make a fool of yourself a little bit. We were all just crazy nerds.
And then they let us into San Francisco, just like a storm of us.
Just running back through the streets.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a good time. But that was also really good too because there was a lot of service.
Yeah, there was.
In FCYC. Like, I just remember like my feet hurting because we were just walking through, what's that called? The area? I can't think of what it's called right now. I'm not like native to that town. But like we were walking through the very like underdeveloped areas, like the poorer areas of that city, and like singing to homeless people and just like spreading joy and light, and it was so much fun.
And then we took that energy back home, which is what I also appreciated. When we went to the Poverillo house, we went to other underdeveloped areas, and you could feel the atmosphere kind of shift, you know, and everybody was just so joyful.
People, they're like, oh, who are these children?
These random children.
These random children.
Storming the barricades.
Nerdy. We looked so nerdy. We were like Glee. I felt like we were Glee. Yeah. You know, like I had my own real life Glee going on.
You know, it was the moment. That was the moment.
Yeah, for real. I wrote on here, talk about when we saw once. Because, do you remember when we saw once?
Yes.
Do you remember the emotional experience that everybnly had?
Do you remember crying?
I remember crying. Yes, I remember it was so good and all the instruments, and I didn't have like a super exciting childhood, so I didn't get out much. You know what I mean? So seeing the musical was like, whoa, because like I hadn't really seen that many live things besides like shows that I myself was in, which are like just like community things versus like big. Like I'd never been to a concert. You know what I mean? I'd never seen like a musical professionally done. So I just remember feeling like, whoa.
The theatrics were insane. And, like, the potential that we all felt afterwards, like, oh my gosh, if we wanted to, we could do that.
We could do it. I could play the violin.
I've never touched a violin in my life.
I've never seen
but I'll be danged if I'm not going to touch a violin.
I'm about to be the best violinist you have ever seen. Give me the viola. Pass me the viola.
All of the strings.
Yeah. I also just remember just like the feeling on my my skin, like the way music kind of makes like the what's that called? The goosebumps?
Chills.
The goose. And you're like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
It's a full body experience.
Yeah, I love music. And I think that's the best way to meet people. And I think it's really special that I met you like 2014, how many years? That's almost like 10 years
We're
ago.
26 now, so like.
Girl, I don't know, 9 years, 8 years?
You know, Ruben and I will be together for 9 years in April.
So just about 9
years. Yeah.
Which brings me very naturally to my next question. You and Ruben have been married for how many years now?
I'm wifed up. We'll be together for 7 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Together for 9 years next year. Married for 7.
Married for 7.
Super close to 7.
Super close to 7. Oh, that's special. I'm sure you guys have both learned so much about yourselves and each other in the time. Yeah, it's fun. Marriage is good. If anybody needs to know, if anyone was wondering, we're having fun.
My face said something different than what my heart and my mind actually says.
Don't
and I need to reiterate.
Face. Listen to my words. Marriage is
for the people
time.
that are listening versus the people that are watching.
Yeah, seriously.
No, marriage is bliss. It's
good.
It's a mess. It's a mess, but I love it.
I think that's fair to say, and especially like I could say that for motherhood as well.
Yeah.
Like motherhood it's fun.
It's a journey.
But I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. I'm exhausted, and sometimes I'm like, can we not?
Mm-hmm. I cry.
I sob often. That's something I do. Okay, so I was gonna say you were a fairly young. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put that in quotes because like, I think a young mom and a young wife is like 12. I'm like, okay, child bred, chill.
Like,
but if you are like over the age of 18, I don't know, dude. Like, if that's what you want to do it. Like, some people get divorced early. Some people stay together for forever, and we're high school sweethearts. So you know, there's no science to it. But anyway, you were a young wife and mother. How old were you when you guys got engaged? Because girl, I remember I was like, already?
So
like, what?
So let me just say that like we started dating very soon after we met, and we met on Twitter, right?
Well,
that's a whole other story.
They met on the Twitter.
He slid into my DMs and into my heart, yes. And we didn't actually know that either of us were going to be going to FCYC. So what happened was he slid into my DMs. We were talking for a little bit. I ghosted him. Ooh. And then I found out that we were both going to be in FCYC together. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. We got it. And it wasn't even him. It was like my own like stuff going on. I mean, I was like 18 when I met him, you know? Mm-hmm. And so we ended up rekindling. It sounds like we had not been talking forever. We ended up rekindling things. And actually on the bus to San Francisco. We took a train, I think.
It was the train,
Amtrak. He was like, "I'm gonna marry you." And I was like, on the train. And so he went. As soon as we got off, we went to like this little souvenir place. I remember, and he got me like this little. I mean, it was like a mood ring, honestly, and it was like a promise ring that I wore.
Gosh.
We officially got engaged less than a year, or right at the year point, I guess, from when we got together. Mm-hmm. We just moved into our first apartment, and it was the morning after the night that we had stood there. Mm-hmm. And I remember he put this little ring in a bowl of cereal that I didn't like.
Not the cereal.
At 6 in the morning.
Not the cereal at 6 in the morning.
And he was like, "Here, I made you breakfast." He was so eager. "I made you breakfast." I was like, "I'm good. I'm gonna go to sleep." It was the frogs, the honey snap.
The sugar smack.
Yeah.
Girl, we shop at Smart and Final. Anyway, keep going.
I'll make it quick. But he was like, "Eat this," and I was like, "No, I'm so tired." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Just put it on the nightstand. I'll eat it when I wake up. And he's now frantically searching with a spoon
Oh
through
my
the.
God.
He's like, you don't even want.
About to eat the
he's
cereal.
like, you don't want even one bite. And the ring was on the spoon.
Oh my God, you're like,
and I was like,
you're like, what?
Oh
you
my
like
gosh.
me?
She was like, hold on. And then, yes, it was the same thing. I was like, oh, you like me.
Oh, you want to be.
Like, we didn't just sign a lease together. Like, I'm like, oh, you're like, bring it on and it's win it. Like,
and how old were you? Like,
I had just turned 20.
Okay.
And I was, no, I had just turned 19. I was married just after I turned 20.
I think that's really interesting that you were 19 and you were having this like very adult experience, kind of around the same time that I was, but not in the same way. Like I got pregnant at 19, and I just remember I wanted to go to college, and like I was like, I took a year off and I was gonna like do this. I was gonna go to like theater school, and then I just didn't. And then I decided to have my baby, and just like that feeling of being like so young, but kind of like, no, you're like, well, this is where my life is going, and like this is where I'm gonna take it, you know? And I honestly, that takes me to my, actually no, that very nicely takes me to my next question, because I was gonna say, what was it like being fresh out of high school and like in that very like early college age where everyone else is like doing big things or special things or whatever with their independence, and to be in such a committed relationship during that time? Like, do you feel like you missed out on anything?
So there's like an array of things that happen. When you first get together and seriously get together and decide like, hey, we're either planning a wedding or we're just gonna go get married. You're like,
the courthouse.
You're like, I get to.
It's cheap.
That's it. And it's a nice venue, okay? It's a nice building.
Okay. You don't have to pay for $100,000 flowers. Anyway, keep going.
Oh, it's too much, dude. Yeah.
I'm still PTSD. Keep going.
No, because the first thought is like, I get to grow up with this person, you know? We get to do these experiences together. That's like, he had just turned 21 when we got married, and he hadn't drank at all prior to being 21. So I was there like for that, you know, and I was there when he was there when I like got my driver's license. Like he was there.
I relate to that.
Yes, for all of my like big like monumental things. And those are the milestones where you go, okay, I'm growing up with this person, right? Like I'm doing this, like we're growing up together. You get married, you do the honeymoon, and then things get a little bit still, and you're like, oh man, things are getting still, and I am now watching all of these people around me doing the big things. They're going to Coachella. They're going to
Coachella.
Like they're going to get their.
They're having fun. They're getting their belly buttons.
They're getting their bachelor's degree. They're doing big girl jobs, you know. And it's not. Let me preface. It's not to say that you can't do all of those things.
But you're not doing them right then.
You're not.
Yeah, and then like, you know, you're like, girl, you passed the bar.
Yeah.
The bar,
like the
bar exam.
The same one that Kim Kardashian took.
So you're a lawyer now.
Yeah. Okay, pretty in pink. Like, chill out.
So they're like, what have you done in the past 10 years since you've graduated high school? You're like, I have children.
I built my credit score.
I have 2 cars.
Yeah.
I work out more than I ever did before.
I will say though, like one of the things that is so freeing, because if you're not careful, you can get really trapped in the mentality of like everybody is moving and I am not moving.
Yes.
And you
What's
have
wrong
to,
with me?
Yes,
you
get FOMO, fear of missing out, right?
Girl, the FOMO.
The FOMO is real.
I'm really bad about FOMO.
Let me just say, I maybe we were going to talk about this later. I don't know, but I took time off of social media, and the FOMO has cleared. It has lifted, and I wish that I would have done it sooner, because holy smokes, I would have saved myself so many tears, so many second-guessing questions, all all of these things. The doubt, and for what? I have a man.
It's constant.
But there are people.
Apples to oranges, apples to oranges. why don't I look like this apple? It's like, well, because you're an orange girl.
Yeah, here's the thing.
You're not
Roses and
to.
sunsets are both so beautiful, but they're never going to look like each other.
They're different.
They're so different.
And it's like, you're not supposed to look like a rose. You're a sunset.
You're a sunset.
So be a sunset.
A radiant, beautiful sunset.
Be your best. You looking at the rose, trying to be a rose, is making you an ugly sunset.
That part.
You're not even your best sunset right now.
No,
if you don't get your sunset together, you know,
could be the sunset.
Yeah, like, go just like go, yeah.
Get your sunset
That's
on.
That's hard, yeah.
No.
You are taking me a little bit in the other direction.
I know.
But
Wait,
no,
last thought. I'm so sorry. No, I know. I need to have to wrap around. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, bring it back. Bring it home.
Okay.
Bring us home.
What helps is remembering that there are people out there that want so desperately what you have. There are people out there that can't have kids, and they're seeing you love your kids and be on your kids.
They're not in this place. Yeah.
They're not. Yeah. Or they are wanting that marriage that you so desperately want to think that you're tired of sometimes. They want that. And kill social media. It fixes your gratitude issue. That's all I have to say.
I do think, though, there's something to be said about how the grass always seems like it's greener. Ugh. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like when you're coming from a place of comparison, you're always going to see yourself lacking something in comparison to someone else. You know? Yeah. So, like, even if you're comparing someone in a way that makes you feel superior to someone else, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, you're not, there's what's it called? There's like a quote that I'm going to get it tattooed on my body somewhere, but it's, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
It takes away your joy every time. So even if you're like, this girl is a mom and she's a mess, okay? She on food stamps. I don't know what she's doing. She's single. Like, I don't know where her kid's dad is. And she's just a mess. And she lives with her mom and blah, blah, blah. And you're doing all that stank. It's like, you're still not happy.
Yeah, that person is probably 10 times happier than you are.
Well, because they're minding their business. It really comes down to just like, stop looking over there. What is it? Oh, it had a bad word in it. But there was this post I saw on Facebook the other day that was like, maybe the grass is greener over there because you're not over there messing it up. But it said like effing it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like, stop looking over there. Like, I was like, stop, listen to me. Stop looking over there. There's nothing for you over there. That's someone else's stuff. That's someone else's joy. Mm-mm. Let them be happy. Let them, it doesn't take anything away from you to be like, congratulations. Say it with me.
Kindness is free.
Congratulations. Whenever I feel my most threatened by someone or something, or it just triggers me in a way, like I'm scrolling and then I'm like, ooh. And I stop and I get that like feeling and I'm like sweating and my upper lip is hot and I'm like, that's telling me, I'm like, you gonna have to figure that out. Like, there's something going on there, you know, like, and it doesn't have to be like this information that makes you feel so bad about yourself. You could just be like, interesting. And you can take it for what it is and be like, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna close this app for a minute because I'm feeling some kind of way, and then go do something that makes you feel better. Like run. Or move your body or sweat. Just make yourself sweat. Every time I sweat, I look at all the sweat and I sweat a lot. I'm a sweater. I sweat when I like stand still, you know.
I'm sweating right now.
I'm sweating, yeah, girl, for real.
As we speak.
Sweating right now. But as soon as I do that, like, I feel better. Like, it's like the hormones or whatever that gets released. Yeah. Just go do something that makes you feel better. Stop looking at everybody else's stuff.
There's something about making insecurities within yourself morally neutral so that you see them and you're not like, man, because I have this insecurity, now I'm deciding to be angry and now I'm deciding to be a bitter person about this. You know?
Like it's out of your control.
It's out of my control. I am choosing to be upset because I feel like I cannot perform to a standard that if you see on social media, let me tell you, it's probably not the actual performance. Like, it's probably not that's not the reality, you know?
It's never reality.
No.
And here's the thing, I'm somebody that's like, I'm an open book, okay? Like, I don't know if it's the neurodivergence, the need to overshare, but I like to talk about myself. I don't know. Maybe it's me talking about myself or it's me talking about my life. But it's always coming from a place of like, I want to get this out there so people know that, like, if you're having thoughts like this, A, please tell me so I know that I'm not crazy. And B, I want you to know, like, you're not alone, okay? So I go overboard. I share everything. Yeah. But even then, I don't always share everything.
Yeah.
There's things that I'm ashamed of that I'm like, I don't want people to know that. So you filter, you know, or like you're like, oh, like even we were talking earlier about like me obsessively cleaning before you got here because I was like, she's gonna see, she's gonna see that I'm dirty and that I'm human. Then the illusion will be shattered.
The fourth wall is broken.
So it's like I take pictures of the kids in my house and I'm like, oh no, I gotta crop out this like laundry basket. Yeah.
You zoom and you're like, okay.
I'm like, nah, you can see the dishes in the sink.
Don't look at my kitchen table.
Yeah,
everything's
see, like,
fine if you
the
don't.
trash that's piling up in the corner, like.
What trash? I see nothing.
You see the trash, Audrey. I know you see the trash.
Oh my god.
And it's that same thing. So like, yeah, social media is not real, you guys. Like, no. It's not. I mean, like, I try to be as real as possible. Like, I'm not like some people really be out here like pretending hard, but even then, it's like it's not my business. You know?
It's not.
Some of it just makes people feel good. Some people get paid for it.
So
they get paid to make their life look all nice, so they can sell you things.
Yeah,
that's in right now.
It's a bit much. I feel like the thing with you and I, who are both people who.
Okay.
There we go. No, it's okay. I think you and I are seen as people who are relatable and transparent, right? We go and we do the posts where it's like
that about you.
Relatable. I like that about you too.
Yeah, I love that about you. So I asked you to be on the podcast. Keep going.
We're one of those people that it's like, here, I'm going to show you a glimpse of my life, and it's a little messy, it's a little uncomfortable.
It's vulnerable.
It's a little vulnerable. People have used the word vulnerable too.
Yes.
Where I'm sure
vulnerable.
You've gotten messages from people, and I know you have because I have too, where it's
honest.
Like, wow, what a breath of fresh air for you to just be vulnerable.
Even then 4 likes, it's like, you know what? Somebody saw this and related to it.
Even in that vulnerability, there's still a little bit. We're not okay.
We're not sharing.
No,
not sharing every single thing because that would be a lot for anyone. That's a lot for my therapist. You know what I mean? Like it's already a lot, and they're trained. They're like paid to like be there. Yeah. So you could tell them everything, and they're still like.
Are you ever worried about oversharing with your therapist?
Yeah, I am. I'll be going and going, and I'm like, you know what? And then like once they like stop talking and they're just listening, I'm like, what? Why are you so quiet?
It's the stare. It's the stare. They're just like, okay.
It's always when they're not making eye. I have this thing where I really want to know like. I'm okay. Like I'm looking for the validation in the other person.
Yep.
So I do that by like making people laugh and like keeping the conversation going. And I compliment. I love to give a compliment. They're never like disingenuous. It's just like I find something I really like. I'm like, you know what? That is a fly jacket. You look great. Anyway, what were we talking about? Because it like makes me feel more comfortable.
Yes.
And then when they're like. And they're like writing that down. I'm like, what are you?
You're like, stop.
What you got?
You gonna tell me what you're writing? You're like, what's going on?
Is this a thing? Am I showing? And it's kind of that same thing too. Where it's like, oh no, she's gonna see. She's gonna see that I'm a person and not perfect.
Do you think that the ensuring of giving a compliment or the ensuring of commenting on people's stuff, I'm about to ask you, do you think that, and I know this because my therapist and I talked about this, do you think that we're using that as a security blanket and an insurance deposit to make sure that we're seen as a safe space to other people?
So that, yes. Yeah. Yes, Audrey. Yes to all the things you just said. Yeah. And I hate that you're in my head. Get out of my head, you. You
it's
magic
something about
woman.
The couch, it just like
get out of my
us.
mind, you angel.
So the cords that we have are actually connected to each other, and those are connected to the brain, and it's like a whole.
We're avataring. Yes. That's what's happening. Oh my gosh. No, this is so good, and you're so right. I do wanna. We're gonna take it back a little bit.
Yep.
So. Oh, okay. This is a good one. I don't know about you, but I certainly felt this weird wave of like shame wash over me after I had my son. And when I would like share with people that I had a son at all, because I was 20, like, and so I'd be like, hey, yeah. Oh, my son does that all the time. Like, this is me trying to relate with like moms who were like, they have a kid the same age as me, but they're 36.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Which is, it doesn't matter. Like you have kids when you have kids. Congratulations. That's beautiful. You know? But, like, I would still feel like people would be like, you have a baby? Yep. How old are you? You're a baby. It's like, actually, I'm not.
Yeah.
Actually, I was traumatized at a young age and I had to grow up very quickly. Therefore, I'm very children. Therefore, I'm wise beyond my years.
Yep.
And you know nothing. Mm-hmm. And you will leave me. And then like you feel like you have to defend yourself, and that's yucky. Like I don't like having to like explain. Like I shouldn't have to like explain. It's not your business, first of all. But if I'm choosing to share it, like, ew.
Yeah.
You don't think I judge myself for having gotten pregnant at an early age and deciding to stick it out? Because we got options. Yeah. But no, I was like, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I wasn't even in a healthy relationship with myself or the person I was with at that time. Yeah. You know? So anyway, tell me about that. Like, tell me about, I know you relate to that.
I do.
I know you do.
There was one distinct memory that just came up, and it was when I had just had Daniel, my son, who will be 6 this year. Mm-hmm. And I went to Winco, and I didn't take him with me or anything like that. My husband was at home at that point, and he was just watching him. I went to Winco, and I bought enough groceries for my husband and I and the baby for the week, right? Formula, baby food, whatever. And I'm sitting here and I'm paying for this with my own money. Not that it matters, but like I had all of my stuff in a way that it's like I felt like my priorities were aligned with my family. Like I was working, I was doing all the things, you know, validated as an adult by society, but I didn't look like it because I was young.
You're like, all my boxes are checked.
Yes,
I look the way
Not
I'm
that
supposed
it's your
to.
business.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing at this age.
So I went to Winco and I was checking out all the stuff. And I remember the lady looks at me and she goes, "You don't look old enough to be buying all these groceries." And I said,
"Ew."
I was
what?
Like,
okay.
I said, and I just told her, I said, "Well, I am with real money." It was like,
would you take it so I can leave?
I just printed it.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to mind your business.
There's
like
so much weird like mommy hate, or like people are like, "Oh well, your body looks like that because you had your baby when you were a baby."
And do you know how many people told me that I was ruining my life?
I also just like move my body. Like,
yes.
Shut up.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, ew.
Yeah.
Girl.
First of all, commenting on people's bodies in general,
just
it's a no. It's a no. Don't do it.
If I do anything, I'm like, oh, you're a beautiful person.
Yes. Or like that outfit looks great. You know?
You look great. It's
or
doing everything.
Like you're glowing. You
yes.
know?
Yeah,
things like
great.
that. First of all, commenting on people's body, it's a no.
Yeah, and like, ew.
Commenting on a postpartum body is a no.
Gosh. In a positive way or a negative way, just don't. Because me, like, I had an eating disorder when I was younger.
I did too.
So like, and I didn't like go to the hospital or anything, and like I didn't, you know, I don't even think any of my family really knows about this, but I would like not eat.
Yeah.
I would go days without eating.
I would
because
purge.
I was like, yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, it was like, yeah, I would just like not eat and go days without eating, and then be like feeling like I'm gonna pass out in the shower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people, especially after I had my first son, because I was like 19, so I was like, oh, I gotta stay sexy, like, because I felt like I was a hot tamale before I had my son. So I was like, I have to stay a hot tamale, otherwise I become a lame, frumpy oatmeal woman, and that's not me. Okay, I'm a young mom.
Yeah.
I'm fun. I'm still cute.
Yes.
I'm
still equatable with all of the other 19 and 20-year-olds.
I'm still like,
I'm still a 19 or 20-year-old.
I still have a good body. You know, like, it was just so silly.
And now I have a man. I have a man that's married to me, so I have to keep that
and
man. So I need to look good for that man.
Oh god.
The trauma.
But no, after I had my son, though, I lost a lot of weight because I was 19 years old, and also I was breastfeeding. And the way not everybody's genetics work the same. Some people gain more weight when they breastfeed. Some people stay the same.
Yep.
Some people lose a bunch of weight really fast to the point where they look sick, and they're like, I need to eat twice as much so that I don't look like I'm sick, because people look at you like you're like on crack or something. Sorry. I said crack. I'm sorry. Don't listen to this with children. This is a very clean podcast.
There are like worse things you could say than crack, but also they look like
sorry. Yeah. We're not. I'm sorry. But
they're thin. Yes.
But that's my point. It's like, but people would be like, oh, I'm so jealous of you.
The grass
you look
is always
so
greener.
Good. Oh, your body. And I'd be like, thank you. And I would literally mean it, because like any validation I'm still get this way. Like anytime somebody tells me something about myself that's good, that affirms good things I like about myself, I'm like, thank you. And I take it and I like put it in here and then I'm like,
yes. Well, then
and I could live off of it for a whole day.
Yes.
And then, but it's like, why? Like, it shouldn't, I want to get to the point where like, no matter if someone says something good or, because here's the thing, if you care that much about when people say something good, then when somebody says something bad about you, you also take it and you put it here and you're like, and you just feel like horrible. And it's like, girl, you don't need to be thinking about what people have to say about you anyway. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you.
The goal for
I'm more concerned about how I feel about me.
Yes. The goal for this year is to be so radically confident and so overflowing with confidence that you could care less if somebody compliments you or not. And it's nice and like, thank you, but I didn't even hear it because I'm so just sure of myself and my identity.
It's about giving it weight.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's nice when some people mean it. Like people tell me like, oh, I'm inspired by you.
Yeah.
You've just been like yourself. And like, I really appreciate that. And like, I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You're right. I feel that way about myself.
Acknowledging the impact, but not the weight.
I do feel like Yes. But without being like, this person said I'm good, so now I'm good. And I didn't think I was good until the person told me. It's like, I am good as I am, and thank you. But then also, like, if somebody gives me some weird feedback, I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, it's an opinion I didn't really ask for. You know what I mean?
I appreciate your input, and now it's mine to do whatever I want with it, and I'm choosing to discard it.
I'm just
or accept it and
or
say,
be like,
hey.
wow, that's something I didn't even think about myself.
Yeah. Because
like,
sometimes there's like constructive criticism, but if it's unwarranted, it can put you in a really weird place because sometimes you're not mentally ready to receive that. You know?
You're like,
I wasn't ready. I have a bunch of other things going on right now and that are already making me very vulnerable. And this like set me over the edge.
Yeah, it triggers you, and then and now you're like operating from this reactive place, and it's because you were triggered. But like, how do you explain that? Like, you know, it's like, God. So like, the point is, don't make comments about women's bodies after they have babies. Okay, so let's keep it moving because I have a couple more things I want to talk about. Okay. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so I do want to move the conversation in a different direction from where we're at right now. So you are a very proudly Christian mommy with a very proudly Christian lifestyle and values. But I also know that you have grown to the place you're at today from a very different version of yourself. If you're comfortable talking about it, what led you to where you're at now? And how has it affected the way that you run your household and how you feel about yourself and your place in the world and all that?
Oh, man.
It's I know it's loaded. Take your time. I'll remind you of what the question.
Oh man, yeah, you might have to redirect me a couple of times.
So how about let's just start from like what led you to from there to where you're at now,
okay.
And how has that affected you? You know?
So I will say that I was not raised in the church at all. I was not raised in the church. My mom grew up like in a Baptist community, and then she strayed from that, and so I didn't get any religious or faith-based upbringing on that end. My dad's family are Catholic, but they did like go to church once a year, like maybe give up something for Lent, light a candle, but also live in a way that they still wanted to live that maybe wasn't like Bible believing, you know. And so I really didn't have a lot of direction. I went to a church once with my friend who, honestly, we don't speak anymore, unfortunately, but she did lead me to...
Friends come and they go.
They come and they go for a season and for a reason, am I right? But yeah, she led me to the well, actually. And I went there once with her. I went there once with her, and I had my whole, like... And I want to say, like, a portion of my come to Jesus moment, because that wasn't until, the full of it wasn't until way later. I dated a guy in high school that did not treat me well at all. He said he was a Christian, and so that turned me off to, like, all of it.
Yeah.
We ended up breaking up.
Christian boys are the worst. They lie.
Then she took me to that church, and I don't even know how I got myself to get in there, because already now I associate this abusive person with like a whole faith scope, you know?
Yeah.
She took me there once. I said, okay, we'll go again. I meet my husband online, right? Our first date is, I told him, you're going to come sit a service with me. And he was like, yeah, I'm on board. My family is super Christian. They grew up Christian in the church. You know, they have a really good relationship with Jesus. So it was me, that friend, and him. And then we decided maybe we'll just keep going to church together to see each other, and we'll just say, hey, we're going to church. We did. We went to church.
She going to church. Why are you looking so cute to go to church? I'm getting cute for the Lord.
And it's so funny because it's so parallel to, I feel, your relationship with God, where you leave yourself open as you are completely, and you say, hey, I'm just going to go to your house. I'm just going to go to your house, and you host, right? Like, you tell me whatever you want to tell me, and I listen or I won't, but I'm putting myself in a position where you can just speak to me, you know? And I didn't really get serious in my faith until after I had my son a couple of years later, where I said, well, I want,
remember.
That the shift, yeah.
I live on social media, so, you know, I like seeing people's journeys.
There's many phases of Audrey,
dude. But that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so keep going, sorry.
So I teeter-tottered a lot in between the time where I was in a relationship with my husband, where we were, like, listening to the word, but I feel not living through the word. Cool. We were living together prior to being married. We were intimate, like things like that, you know, and I was, you know, living in a way that I don't live now. Yeah. And so I decided that after I had my son, I needed to give him a form of direction and family installation that I didn't have. And so I leaned into the faith because I didn't have that, and I knew that I didn't know exactly what I wanted for my son, but I wanted different than what I had. And what I found at that church was community. So we went to a couple of different churches, ended up to the one we're at now, but primarily our value is just living through the word and knowing that Jesus is Lord, and doing things with community.
So does that make you feel, because we've talked all about, like, eating disorders and just struggling with, like, your place in the world and, like, your self-image, like, what parts of that made, like, kind of flourish? Because I've seen you become way more confident and way more, like, sure of yourself, and, like, I feel like you're someone who has something to say, and you about to say it. Like, you're like, give me my camera. Like, you'll hop in front of the camera and be like, hey,
I will every time
this just came to me. I'm going to say this. I have to get it out. I don't know if any of you care, but I'm going to say it.
It's so, for like, somebody.
But like, I know that, like, God for different people, like, represents different things for them. You know, some people it's like, this is what got me through. This is what kept me on the planet when I didn't want to be here anymore. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it's like, man, I didn't even like myself, bro. And then I met God, and I was like, oh snap, I'm pretty cool. I'm made in His image. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I understand that because I did grow up in that, and there's plenty of people that I'm related to or that I'm friends with that are, you know, super into that. So, like, you know, I'm just wondering, like, what part of that kind of grew that for you? You know?
There's a lot. There's a lot. So what I knew, just to break it down pretty simply, is without God, I know that I have felt worthless. I know that I have felt broken. I know that I have felt used and unloved and insecure and all of these things. And I know that after God, try not to get emotional. Get
emotional. I know it's hard because we have, like, ring lights and, like, a camera. But, like, get emotional.
No, it's good. I know that, like, with God, there's a portion in scripture that says we all sin and fall short to the glory of God, right? Like, we all come to Him complete messes, honestly, complete messes. And I will say that the confidence that I have within myself now can be pointed down to knowing who He says that I am. Right, and I didn't know who I was before.
So you're like, it doesn't matter how you view me.
It's not up to me.
How I view me.
It's not even up to me.
He has this idea of who I am, and I'm gonna stay true to that.
There is a creator that says, I made you specifically how you are for a purpose and for a reason. When you didn't find purpose or reason elsewhere, you don't have to look anymore. You know, and
that's comforting.
It's so comforting.
And so it's like, if you're having those moments where you feel insecure and you're feeling hopeless, and those demons start to come up, and all the things that trigger you start to come up, or something does trigger you. Yeah. How freeing that must be to be like, to surrender, right? It's a literal surrender. You put your hands up, and you're like, this is, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need me to be right now? I'm going to be that. Mm-hmm. And as long as I'm being that, mm-hmm. I'm going to be okay, right? It's that, like, I'm going to be okay. I understand that.
It's not anything that you radically transform with overnight either. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that he can't, but a lot of times your spiritual muscles are the ones that need growing. And that's why community is so important.
Okay, and I think that's what we really need to watch out for is no matter what the faith that we're in or whatever institution we are in, like a religious institution, that we need to be careful how we treat other people mm-hmm. when they are already coming from a place where they feel defensive to be more welcoming. Because I think there's a lot of chismosa-ness and judgmentalness and this air of superiority. And I think that those negative qualities get tacked on to Christian people all the time.
Yes.
And it's not the truth necessarily. Like, it can be the truth, but I think that people who are in the other direction and who are more like liberal, like those people can also be really crappy versions of people too, you know? And I think that it's very like...
There's a spectrum of people that are acting crummy towards their neighbor.
And like, know? Okay, so somebody... there's people in my life that are very Christian, but they're like people like you that are like, they're not judgmental. Like when I talk to them, I don't feel like they're looking at me like they're finding all the ways that they're better than me.
Yeah.
And they're finding all the ways to like condemn me with their minds for like the way I'm living. Or like every time I have a conversation, it's constantly about trying to get me to like live my life in a way that's like for God, you know? Because like some of that is like, oh gosh. But I do think that like in the same way that like liberal people don't want to be judged. It's like people who loved God don't want to be judged for loving God. Like this is something that made them feel better about themselves.
Yes.
And it made them like keep living when they didn't want to live. Like I'm not gonna like
literally my life source.
Who am I to like dismantle that and tell you that you're like anything besides like doing what's best for you?
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to like mind your business. Yeah. Like, that's just kind of how I feel. Like, I'm minding my business. It's not my business.
Yeah.
That's something that makes you feel good. Yeah. I want you on the planet.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't here, first of all, your family would not be okay, and I wouldn't be okay because you're my friend. So if if you weren't so godly and then you found God and you were like, oh, snap. Whoa.
Yeah.
And you feel alive again.
I've got to stick around.
And you feel connected to yourself again. Yeah. You feel like you could be your best self as a mom. Yeah. You can show up for your kids in a different way. Do it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think that a lot of people in my faith community, I don't want to say my church because I feel like my church is there's a wide array of people. But totally. I think just the church as a whole, the big C, right?
Yeah.
If we want to guide people to Jesus the way that we say that we want to, it's important to be the church in people's homes. It's important to love the neighbor right where they're at. And you're not supposed to play the change card. God is supposed to play the change card if it's in his will. But if it's not in his will, that's not your will to decide. You know, that's not your will to decide.
So it's not for you to like pass judgment,
no,
and like look someone up and down and pull them apart, or like maybe not even want to like associate yourself with them.
And who you decide to associate yourself with is completely up to you. You know,
totally.
Yeah, but also like,
but to do it in the name of
of your faith is a bit
in the name of your faith.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Though it's like, well, God says I can't love anybody that's like this, and this. And it's like, oh, but that's like people,
okay,
bro.
but that's legalism. And Jesus said you love your neighbor. Jesus said you love that neighbor to the point where they just feel so, you know.
And then maybe like, maybe I'll try this Jesus thing.
Right.
Maybe I'll give it a shot.
If you be the light to other people, and I'm preaching now, like I'm sorry.
Take us to
you cannot expect light from others if you are not lighting their candle with the light of Jesus that you have. I'm sorry. You know?
And I think that reaches beyond just Jesus. I think that if you have a light in you and you're supposed to be sharing it, that you should be sharing it from a place of like love and not from a place of like I'm better than you.
Your creativity, your support, I mean? Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna close with something a little bit more light. Mm-hmm. What do you watch mom movies or mom shows? Is there anything about motherhood that you have been watching lately that you like?
Oh,
that you
man.
wanna like give some props to, because I've been I just watched Little Fires Everywhere. Have you seen that show?
I haven't seen it.
Okay,
no.
it's on Hulu. It is.
I have a set list of shows that I watch that I like have not been able to steer away from, and they come seasonally. So it's like, okay, as soon as this done, I know it's season ready for this, and so I give me your recommendations beautiful. Because I'm stuck on like The Good Doctor.
Honestly, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It kind of touches on like microaggressions and like white fragility and like white people versus like very privileged, like well off, more wealthy like white family versus like a black family and a single mom, and like this woman is kind of judging this other woman. She doesn't know her. She just has all these ideas about what she's all about, and so she's like pitying her.
Yeah.
And she's actually like this like rich artist over here, like
she's doing great.
She's like just living.
She's thriving.
She's living within her means, even though she has the money to be living an extravagant life. So she's making all these assumptions, and like her daughter's like trying to get. There's the part where her daughter's like trying to get into college. She wants to get into Yale, and I guess her Yale essay is supposed to be about a hardship that you've gone through. And she's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna talk about how I didn't get the leads in the school play. And the mom was like, I don't know why they're making you talk about a hardship. It's almost like what if you're not like from a crack addicted mother that you don't deserve to go to Yale, and like it's written in a way where you're like, oh jeez,
well,
that's privilege. It's all privilege. Yeah. But so it's heavy in that way. So if you're not comfortable with those kinds of themes, don't watch it.
Yeah.
But if you are interested in like opening your mind up a little bit, I'd say watch it, because it's very telling, and it's two moms.
Yeah.
And like that's what I saw like when I was watching it. I was like, whoa, like I think, because like the mom is very like, she's one of those Karen. I hate to say
no,
it.
say it.
She's what people would call a Karen.
Yeah.
They wrote her that way. Like she's.
The intention is for her
to be like that in every sense of the word, not just like she's a white woman who's a mom. Like she's like no, she's like literally a Karen, and like
she's written as an aggressor.
She's written as very like and like she's not the way that she is with her kids. She's not nice to all her kids the same way. Like her youngest, she like hates for some reason because like she had that baby and she didn't want to have that baby, and her husband was like, you have to have that baby, so she treated that baby differently than her other kids. And that's real though.
That's heavy.
And but it shows you that, like, it takes you back to when she's like a 20-year-old mom, and she's trying to be. Remember, we were talking about like Audrey. She was trying to be like that version of herself. She was going back to work. She was working
doing
out.
all the things.
And she was doing all the things, and she's had like all these babies, and like it was showing us like her husband was gone at work and stuff, and she was like at home doing it, staying at home with all her kids, and like. So that's part of, and like now she like lives her life a certain way and feels like she has to achieve this like weird expectation she sets for herself, and so she puts those expectations on her kids.
Wow. And
her kids are like walking around with it, but then now they're little kind of like jerks a little bit to people.
Yeah.
Because of the way that, you know, and then by the end, like they realize their mom is like trash, and it's like, girl, it gets a little crazy. I'm not gonna give it away. Watch the show. It's very good. It's very like. It makes you uncomfortable though. Even me watching it, like I was very uncomfortable. My husband was like, I can't watch this. I gotta go. Yeah. Certain things, the themes are a little too potent. Yeah. But I'm at a place now where I like to lean into the controversial things and have the conversations that are uncomfortable.
Brave.
Yeah, courage, because like no one else is doing it, and like
it's hard. You know? It's hard. You don't know what you're gonna say or do. It's gonna get you.
And there's another show too that I don't know if you've seen Working Moms on Netflix.
I've seen Working Moms.
Or The Letdown.
I've not seen The Letdown.
Okay, The Letdown is an Australian show, so like you have to like bypass the like the dialect is a little different. Yeah. Like the way that they talk is different.
I watch Bluey.
Yeah, no, it's very similar to that. Yeah. So like their slang is different. So you're like, wait, what are you saying?
Yeah.
But like you start to catch on really quick. It's very good. It's about a mom. She just has her first baby, and like she joins this mom group, and it's very like. Just eclectic group of women.
Not like other mom groups. Yeah.
But it's like, and we'll talk about, we have to come back and talk more.
This is a series now.
We're going to have sections that are just me and Audrey talking.
Oh, gosh. Audrey talks.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I had so much fun talking to you.
I had so much fun. It's been an hour and a half almost.
It's been an hour and a half just going.
Flew by.
Literally flew by. But do you have any parting words for us? Do you have any leave us? Here's the thing. Here's how we could end it. Every time I do a mommy meetup, I have a mommy group. It's called Mommies Unite Fresno. It's really cool. I started it in March last year, and every time we have a meetup, we share a mommy win and a mommy fail. So I'll start. I'll give you a chance to kind of think about yours. So a mommy win I have is that since the new year has started, I've been making sure that when I come home, I'm a little bit more present because usually I get home from work and I just go straight to my room and then like all the kids want my attention and like I feed them, but I've been like, and so now I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to buy McDonald's on the way home. I'm going to come home and make dinner and then I'm going to like work out. I give myself like an hour or two. So I tell Atai, we will talk at 6:30 p.m. You know what I mean? And at 6:30, I make sure I set a timer. And then when it's 6:30, I'm like, all right, let's get on the floor. Let's play Uno. Let's do whatever. And I'm holding the baby and we get that time. Because like my husband, our schedules are like opposite. So like he's home all day, takes the task to school. And then as soon as I get home, he's driving away and going to work. So then it's like, I already don't really get to see him that much. And so sometimes it feels, ugh. But if I lean into the time with my kids, like I really like that. So lately, I've been feeling good about myself because I've been making food. I've been getting creative, having fun in the kitchen, and just trying to like be a little bit more present. So that's my mommy win. Mommy fails are always hard, but I love saying, when you say it out loud, it makes it feel like less of a fail.
It really does, yeah.
So I think my mommy fail right now is that, I don't know. That one's hard because I do feel like I'm like #winning.
Doing great right now. Stop. I was thinking the same thing.
I feel like I'm #winning. But, okay. A genuine mommy fail that I really want to work on is that like, I've always been bad at taking care of myself. So like keeping up with my doctor's appointments and like calling the doctor. You know what I mean? Like I need new glasses. My glasses have been reinforced with super glue like 5 times. The baby has pulled them off my face. I still haven't gotten new glasses. I'm going to. It's happening. There's an appointment set. It's good. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I just want to get better about like being more proactive about getting my son his shots and like getting the kids to see the pediatrician and like taking them outside and making sure they're eating really healthy food. Like, so I guess that's kind of if I was going to say it, my mommy fail. Because I think when you struggle with mental health stuff that it's already hard enough to take care of yourself. So then like you add like multiple kids to it and you're like, oh gosh. And then you got to think about your husband and if he's all right. You're like, I haven't seen you in a minute. You okay?
Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you healing?
I love you. You're real cute.
Yeah.
I love your face. Love you.
My husband always say, I miss you. I miss you.
I never see you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are yours?
Okay. So mommy win. And obviously mom wins look different like for everybody. So
Absolutely.
like my win might be somebody else's like, why is that a win? Like that's silly, you know?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Say it. Share it with
us. Like I've obviously taken like time off of social media right now in order to be more present and to not be on the screen so that my kids are also less reliant on the screen. So what I've done now is I've just put a bunch of crayons and workbooks and construction paper on my kitchen table every day, and I won't say anything. I'll turn the TV on to something that they're so like into or not into, right? Just so they have the background stimulation. But what I notice is when I don't force them to do one thing or the other, they lean into the creative. And so they ignore the TV and they want to just start doing stuff with their hands. Yes. And that's so beautiful. I've been trying to validate them in that and encourage them to do that, because if I'm overstimulated and they're overstimulated, then nobody is okay. Everybody is struggling. So I will say that's my win. And then my fail, I think, is honestly just like watching the way I talk to my husband in front of my kids. Like even, okay, so like with your husband, you feel like you can be so candid with him all the time, right? And like sometimes if he does something that like upsets me or like irks me, I have to.
Like, why are you breathing that way?
Yes, yeah. If I'm overstimulated and I tell him something like "shut up," like
neurodivergent.
Yes,
overstimulation is so.
Oh my gosh, I'm a monster if I'm overstimulated. And so I have to make sure that I'm centered and watching the way that I talk to my husband in front of my kids, because ultimately, like, he is supposed to be, like, honored, like, mutually we're supposed to be honored. So it's like, I gotta watch that.
But then you're like, how do I
do that sometimes?
You're so annoying.
It goes
how
back,
do I honor you?
It goes back to filling your own cup. This way you can give
me.
that grace to other people.
Yeah.
And then also I need to make dentist appointments for my kids. And I said it out loud, so now I need to.
She said it. You heard it here.
Yeah.
We're going to check back in with you, Audrey.
The next time I'm here.
The next time
how's the
she
dentist
will be
appointment
back.
going?
You're going to ask me if I learned how to swim, and I would ask you about your dentist appointment.
We're in it together.
We're holding each other accountable, Audrey.
And nobody's going to do it.
Right, no one. 2 months from now, we will be in the same spot.
But that's not fair. You can't swim in 2 months. It's going to be cold still.
You're
I'll have been able to set up the appointment.
You're right. See? So I got more time.
Somebody find this woman an indoor pool.
And stat.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Give me a high five. Oh, all right. Well, thank you. This has been Mo Mommies Mo Problems. You heard it here. Our very first mommy.
Hi.
Our official first episode was my husband, but you know, he's Mr. Mom. It's a little different. So thank you so much for being like my very first official mommy on the couch. It's not a very cute couch, but
adorable.
We're doing our best.
We love it.
Our lovely, very plain set. It's going to come together. It's going to come alive soon. And yeah, so thank you for listening to our podcast, Mo Mommies Mo Problems. And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.